Things have changed. Currently, we are facing one of the crises of the century which has earned itself a spot in history. We will be talking about the social impacts of COVID-19 on a nation's well-being. That means unraveling what our communities and societies have gone through during this pandemic, in hope of achieving UN Sustainable Development Goal 11 of maintaining sustainability in cities and communities. So what is the social impact of COVID-19? Well, to answer this question, we must first understand that COVID-19 is harmful and extremely contagious. Because of this, in 2020, the world went into lockdown to combat the spread of this virus. Malaysia declared its movement control order on the 18th of March, which is what we consider as the start of a long domino effect which would ultimately disrupt the communities in Malaysia and similarly most parts of the world. Which brings us back to our main topic.
It's no secret that the restrictions and closures of non-essential businesses required by lockdowns caused major downfall in the global economy. The frontline industries like services and tourism are the most affected with their source of revenue completely cut off. Unlike restaurants, manufacturing and construction, which still experience a fairly large setback, but are still keeping afloat. Due to this, businesses of all sizes had to reduce the salary of their employees or lay them off completely. To indicate this rise in poverty, we can see that the rate of employment among Malaysians decreased significantly. This contributed to a major reduction in the average income of Malaysians. According to the Department of Statistics Malaysia, the average household gross income, which is the total accumulation of income by the members of a household, decreased by 10.3% in 2020. This reduction shifted the demographics of the three main income groups in our country, where more of the population are now in the M40 and B40 categories. The situations are even worse for countries which heavily rely on tourism and services, such as Thailand and the Maldives. For a lot of us, the financial burdens brought by this pandemic are definitely profound. We should all be more grateful when enjoying the simple pleasures like having a roof on our heads or food on the table. But still, for many of us, staying at home might not be an enjoyable and safe experience. And here's why.
So much like your father.
In 2020, the Ministry of Women, Family and Community Development's Talian Kasih, or Call for Help, saw an extreme spike in the number of hotline calls received compared to the previous year. This pattern is horrifying as they prove the increasing cases of family conflict among our communities during this pandemic, whether this involves financial difficulties, marital problems, or even domestic abuse. On a smaller scope, according to the Malaysian Syariah Judiciary Department, the pandemic has caused a major increase in the divorce rate among Malaysians, namely a total of 71,806 divorce cases were recorded between January 2020 to June this year, an increase of 5% compared to 2019. Furthermore, according to the Women's Aid Organization, or WAO for short, at the start of the pandemic, there was also an increase in the number of hotline calls received regarding domestic abuse. This is contributed not only by the financial impact we discussed, where victims may become more financially dependent on their abusers, but also the psychological effects of staying at home. According to the WAO Advocacy and Communications Officer, the feeling of isolation during the lockdown mixed with the concern over health and finance accentuates the thirst to exert control and dominance among perpetrators. Mental disruption like this is only one of many psychological effects of the pandemic, which brings us to our next point.
Ladies and gentlemen, mental health has definitely become a concern during this pandemic. To put in perspective, the reported suicide cases in 2019 grew by 5% going into 2020. However, within the first 5 months of 2021, there has already been a 15% increase, an average of 2 cases a day. According to the Malaysian Royal Police, the three main causes of deaths are family struggles, emotional stress, and financial difficulties, all of which we've discussed. In addition, a survey conducted by our team uncovered that a majority of high school students experience a moderate amount of stress, and the three biggest factors of that are lack of recreational activity, inability to meet friends, and stress from school, where most of them confirm that this pandemic has directly or indirectly influenced their mental health state. So far, the effects we have discussed are negative. However, every cloud has a silver lining. During these times, the virus has made our community more aware of the importance of cleanliness. We've started washing our hands more often. Elevators and entrances are now equipped with hand sanitizers. Premises like restaurants and bars are now disinfecting tables regularly. These practices are essential in maintaining the hygiene of our communities, and it should have been implemented even before the pandemic. As the global population urbanizes and the COVID-19 endemic lives on, practices like this will become even more vital in preventing future outbreaks. Not to mention the warm-hearted helping hands that have arisen during the pandemic. These include the government, NGOs, and also some of our friends who are helping each other during this time of crisis. Our survey showed that more than half of the respondents have become support structures, listening and helping those who are struggling emotionally.
To conclude, the COVID-19 pandemic comes with its pros and cons. And yes, the cons heavily outweighs the pros, but we believe that does not undermine the significance of the pros, as its benefits are much more long-term. With poverty on the rise, destroyed families, and deteriorating mental health among the communities, it's clear that the marks left behind by this pandemic will be remembered by many generations to come, as we learn to adapt, innovate, and evolve to prevent much scarier outbreaks in the future. Thanks for watching. Leave a like and comment below what you think we should do so that this pandemic does not repeat itself. Ladies and gentlemen, please share this video with your families and friends. You can learn more about the impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic in the description below. And we will see you all very, very soon. Goodbye and stay safe.